Adam.
3, 2, 1. We are back with episode 12 of the Dads Do 75 Hard podcast. I'm going to slide over here a little bit. Stretch this. Oh, look at that. So we're back. Everyone has completed 75 Hard now.
Yes.
We are officially done. So now this becomes the Dads Are Degenerates podcast. No, I'm just kidding. Not true. Phase 1 starts April 1st, so we'll talk about that next week. But yeah, last week we went over Adam's story. It was really good. Kind of give you guys some insight into Adam's background and how he's here today. And then today we're going to dive into old Vince's. But before we let Vince take the floor, Adam.
Yes.
Initial thoughts of Vince. Or where'd you meet him? How?
I mean, it's hard. I don't know what it's like today for the kids, but even though, because I could have been in his class,
Yeah.
but I've been super young,
Yeah.
so I got held back. Like I don't really remember the sports. Like growing up, like Jay,
Yeah.
you know, just all the youth league stuff, and yeah, that
Sorry, we have a great table here. It just almost fell over.
And no classes.
Nope.
I mean, that I can honestly remember. Did you even take athletic PE?
No, I was an RO.
And so I thought you know, which they were really good. Like
Yeah.
back in
Yeah.
the day, like
Yeah.
that, they were always really fun to watch. Because you guys, did you rank nationally?
Individually, I ranked third
Yeah.
my
Humble brag.
Yeah.
sophomore or junior year.
No, they were really good. So yeah, I mean, honestly, other than probably football, of actually like interacting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was probably really so that's probably close to 35 years ago, like of
Wow.
you know, really. But as far as school goes, like I said, nothing class-wise to really partake on. But whenever we first got going through football, and I'd seen it at the Y, always kind of working out with Alex and all them. But just, you know, it's always good to see people that, you know, that take care of themselves. I guess that's just something that I always observe with others. It's just nice because I know I can gravitate towards that because I typically too like to, you know, just ask questions about their fitness or whether, because you guys being more of the power lifting type, it is always nice to kind of get that idea of how I could, you know, bulk of sorts. But yeah, other until football and you get on the crew, I mean, it was actually kind of nice and have someone all around the same age, all kind of share the same interests, and just the fact that, you know, you took it serious, which I really appreciate, you know, because some people come into that kind of, you know, they officiate, they just do it for the money.
Yeah.
This is for us, like, especially, it's more than just that. Like, we'd probably do Friday nights for free. You know what I mean? Just because of being part of culture, seeing these kids play football. So it was super nice to have someone with that common idea and just that discipline of going and seeing how you work through the gym, coming into the gym, Colton's gym there. It was refreshing to have someone my age, our age, you know, that's kind of pushing to do the same things.
Yeah, there's no better seat on Friday night than right in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. The sideline's pretty nice.
Or stay in your box.
Or the goal line.
Yeah.
On the track.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's all right. We'll see how this year goes. Get camouflage. No, so for me, like, never really knew of Vince. Like, seen him around the Y, always working on stuff. And that was kind of like the extent of my knowledge of him. And then he came into the gym to sign up, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, it's a Y guy. What's happening?
The culture is changing.
I was like, oh my goodness. And then, just I think we had the initial conversation of, like, coming to 5 a.m. crew. And I have had that conversation with dozens.
Too early, Colton. Come on, man.
Dozens of people. And they are
Come
like,
at 4.
they're like, oh. I mean, most
I'm
people.
there at 4:30 now.
Yeah, true. Most people are like, oh, yeah, this is awesome. Like, programming, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we'll be there. And then they come for, like, 2 days, and then you never see them again. And so I really didn't know what to expect out of Vince. But, yeah, then just jumped in with the crew that was at the time looked very different than it does now. And then he has just been a mainstay, so it's been awesome to see that. But, yeah, coming in and just getting to know him from the gym, and then working out, and I think training at 5 every day, and being around the same people and building a relationship and that kind of stuff. So he's no longer the why guy. He's the relentless guy. But yeah, that was kind of the that's the beauty of the gym and having a crew and getting people in there, is you get to meet new people, and then obviously we kind of see how all of us got brought together before this even before we even ended up sitting down and talking about doing 75 hard. We all did 75 hard before this.
No. I didn't do it till that first time.
But I mean, like before the podcast.
Oh,
like
yeah,
we've
yeah,
done
yeah,
it
yeah,
since we've been around each other. And now you've done it 3 times.
Yep.
We're about to all do phase 1 for the first time, or finish phase 1 for the first time. Finish. So yeah, excited about that, and yeah. So, all right, Vince. Since we didn't know you outside, well, Adam could have known you, but he was too busy in his other classes. What was Vince like growing up? What was growing up like for Vince?
So, born in Terre Haute, lived there till I think like 2nd grade. Moved to Crawfordsville for a couple of years. Moved to Danville for a couple of years. Mom and bio dad were in the restaurant biz, and they'd get a promotion or whatever, a new store would open up, so we would just move to that town and run that store, and then they'd go to the next one, and then it was right before 7th grade, we moved here. Pretty much been the mainstay since. I mean, I've bounced around a little bit, but
So where's here?
here in Mattoon.
There you go, Mattoon, Illinois.
Yeah.
M-A-T-T.
Definitely just your typical boy growing up out, like Adam said last week, when the sun went down and the lights came on, you had better have your butt in the yard. Now, you could still be outside playing, but you had to be in the yard so mom and dad knew where you're at. And, yeah, I mean, just out and about, riding bikes everywhere and stuff like that.
Nice. So then for you, like moving around, did you feel like that was just part of it, or was it a struggle? Like, I mean, moving in 7th grade.
That one was a little difficult just because of my age. I mean,
Yeah.
My sisters are both, one's 2 years and one's 6 years younger, so it was probably, I would say, a little easier. The first couple moves weren't bad. The first one was hard because I'd grown up in Terre Haute. I know when you're at 2nd grade and it's like
You're moving.
You've got those friends that you've grown up with, and then you're moving. And no, I mean, I didn't think it was too bad. Coming into middle school was already a big change,
Mm-hmm.
and then coming into a new area, that was a little. But I mean, I found a couple guys pretty quick through playing basketball in the mornings before school, and kind of just gravitated that way.
Did you play bar ball?
Yeah.
No, bar ball.
Oh yeah.
Man.
I don't even know what that is.
No.
You know the monkey bars?
Yeah.
They're not even there anymore.
We're not there anymore. Well, because we're metal. We can't have metal. So each individual slat was a rim. And remember, like so they're lower, so you guys could just fly and dunk. So you always constantly could get points. So you'd have guys alley-ooping.
Yep.
But
you
could
shove your arm
through it
and block them. The worst guy to play against was Eric Hahn.
Eric Hahn, yeah.
Because that dude was a monster at everything. And he was bigger than most guys, 2 years older than him, and he was
the power.
I got a new youth group game now. We're playing bar ball.
Yeah,
boys.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. So then, when you get here in 7th grade, and you get that group and you make friends. So then, what's high school Vince like? Did you start to get some independence and get comfortable and get friend groups? Like what's high school Vince?
So I'd say not a lot of independence because I just didn't have a lot of free time.
Yeah. So what were you doing?
From the day after my 16th birthday, I've been working.
Okay. So where was your first job?
KFC.
Let's go.
Mom was running that store, that area, and so pretty much it was like, here's your job.
What's the secret blends of herbs and spices?
Couldn't tell you.
Gosh, dang it.
It literally comes on the package. It says herbs and spices.
Ugh.
Doesn't even tell you. But so I started working there at night after school, but then I was getting up for practice for drill team before school. So therefore, school in general wasn't the best because when you're
You were asleep.
oh yeah
Mhm.
quite a bit. Mainly during my math classes. Math is not my strong suit.
Oh yeah, that's terrible.
But yeah, but yeah, and then on Mondays and Wednesdays we'd have practice after school, and then on weekends we'd have competitions anywhere from Joplin, Missouri to Dayton, Ohio to and then we went down to Florida every year for nationals.
Wow. So, like, I think where Adam and I, like, we're very like sports like, in terms of high school. Like, and I worked, but it always was around practice schedules, which were after school. So work was different, more off season. So for you, like, looking back on high school, like, what things would you change or would you do differently with the knowledge that you have now?
I don't know. Like,
I mean, you seem like pretty. If you're working and doing drill, you're pretty level-headed for most high schoolers.
I did, and I didn't. I mean, I probably would have gone out a little more and hung out with friends outside it because when you're in drill team, I mean, it's kind of like that's who you hung out with because you were around each other so much
Yeah.
with practices and competitions and bus rides. So you just kind of like football. You know, you kind of hung out with those groups. I would have probably expanded. I mean, I knew the guys on the football team, and that just never had that kind of a click.
Yeah.
So I probably would have done more of that than.
Nice. So then, through high school, like, what are you thinking is going to be the next step? Like, while you're in high school.
So, I actually was offered after I placed in nationals. There is a professional drill team in Hawaii.
Holy cow!
That had approached me after that competition in Florida. I'm like, we'd like you to come, and I was like, I still got to finish school, but so I really was like gung ho, like this is what I wanted to do. Like I had a blast doing it. You know just to go to Hawaii. I mean, and then you pull up videos of the King's Guard, and it is ridiculous. Like I got to see them my freshman year. They performed, and then like you'd always when you were going, you heard these stories about these guys, and they're all big jacked guys, and I mean I'm 5'8" going into high school and weighing $150, and I'm like I can't keep up with this. But then they approached me and the other guy that was on our team that placed, and that was it. I was going to do that, and then like reality kind of set in, like senior year, like how am I going to get there?
Yeah,
like it's not cheap to get there. Thought about doing the military right out of school, but I'm a big family guy, so the fact of leaving mom and dad and everything, and we all brag on that tune sometimes about the town, and God, I want to get out of here. And I couldn't leave.
Right.
So I just worked for a little bit, kind of did the same.
So were you still at KFC?
Until I was 21, roughly.
Then what's that look like?
And I left, went and did the military.
Okay, so then what was the decision behind that? In what branch?
I went for a girl.
Yeah.
Dumb idea.
Go.
So you went.
Wait.
Went to go to.
Was she in the military?
No, she was somewhere else, and I was going to be stationed there.
Holy cow, that's a bad scenario.
Yeah, those don't usually add up too well.
It did not.
Was it worth it?
I learned a ton.
Yeah.
I wish I would have chose a different MOS. I was a medic, which I learned a ton about.
So you're in the Marines?
Army.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then where are you stationed?
The best and worst place at the same time. Because the best because it was San Antonio, Texas.
Oh, man.
But the worst because there's so many ways to get in trouble down there.
So you tried to go get you a Texas girl. Was she from Texas?
No.
What was she doing in San Antonio?
No. She wasn't from there. She was from somewhere else. And I was going to, when I got done, I was going to go my reserve time over in Ohio. But
What part of Ohio?
The Cleveland area.
Oh, that you mistake by the lake. You got saved.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Would have been really bad being a Michigan fan over there.
Sorry to any of
Yeah.
our Cleveland listeners. I didn't mean to just come at you, but man.
But yeah, stationed in Fort Sam Houston, Texas.
So then, how long do you do that?
Weird situation. I basically did basic and AIT, and then there was no paperwork for me going anywhere. Like I went to go report, and they were like, "Well, you don't have anything," and so I just kind of,
he was a
government.
I
goat.
basically
He was a
went and
goat,
did
yeah.
my time and disappeared after 16 weeks of AIT and 9 weeks of basic training.
You're like Jack Reacher.
Yeah.
Not a trace.
Yeah.
He's a military operative.
Yeah,
Undercover. So then how is basic? Like, what's that like going from drill? You know, drill is a sports background, but then going to having time away and then going back into basic. What's that like for you?
so it's a plus and a minus. A plus is I have a heads up of kind of what to expect. I know the marching and all of this stuff and the formations, but knowing that and trying to help others, the drill sergeants go, "Oh yeah, we got to know it all." And you just get nailed constantly.
Bullseye is
Yeah.
not
So
officially on your
physically,
back.
what was basic like for you?
A blast.
Nice.
I had so much fun. Other than, I mean, the one thing I've always told everybody that I've known since is listen when you're supposed to and ignore the rest,
Yeah.
because it's just there to break you down and build you back up. So when they're calling your sister ugly and this and that, like, don't take it to
ignore
heart.
that,
Just
yeah.
let it go. When they're telling you to stand up and do that, okay, that's when I need to pay attention.
Yeah.
You know, the hand-to-hand combat, the jousting. You know, I even had a blast on KP duty, like just
Oh yeah.
What's
You know,
that?
kitchen patrol.
Oh, sick.
You're basically serving lunch and whatnot. I mean, but it's just something. It was something different than everything else.
And yours is set a different line because they had contracted that out.
You know, we
So
had-
what year is that for you?
Oh, I don't even remember. It's been 20 years or so.
So are we? Yeah, I mean, this is like I'm just trying to figure out where Adam falls in all of it, like the time frame. So are we still in
Because I
Iraq?
was 06.
I see. I was probably like 02.
Okay, so you're early
02,
on.
03.
So you're like fresh out of the 9/11.
Mm.
Gotcha. Interesting. So that's interesting.
Yeah, it was different. I mean, I'm sure they probably had just started beginning to change a lot of the processes of how they were doing basic training
Yeah.
and the ITs because they hadn't
Because it wouldn't all
learned
change in a
anything yet.
year. Yeah, it's
they
got to
hadn't
take
learned
time.
exactly what that war was even look. Well, we were in Afghanistan at this time because 03 was when they invaded Iraq. So
Yeah, so
you got
you're
to think that
only
we're just strictly Afghanistan and mountainous terrain and that sort of front war, whereas the urban stuff really didn't start happening until they got to Iraq. And it's all the mock training and urban.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it probably looked a lot.
You're
different.
probably not working with locals at that point. We're just in Afghanistan.
Yeah,
you're not working with like where you were with.
It's hard telling
the natives.
what they were doing.
That's interesting. I like it.
Because KP duty, it's
Yeah.
like I never
Adam's
did that.
like, we never did that.
Oh, yeah, we
that.
did it. I mean, you had it.
Which, I mean-
once a month, I think is when you had it, unless you were a screw up. and
Yeah,
then-
and got in trouble.
yeah.
So then you get out of that, and so you come back here.
Yep.
And then what?
So
So you're 22.
22, 23-ish. Met my wife, my first wife.
Okay.
Met her. Went back to the restaurants just because. Went to AMPAD.
Okay.
Working there. Her mom was working out at the old warehouse out there off 45.
Okay.
Got me on out there.
How's that?
It was great, dude. Warehouse work for me is easy. It's just riding a forklift, picking boxes, boom, 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 boom.
So you're a certified forklift operator.
Mhm.
Dang. All right. There we
But,
go. We found him.
Did that. They shut down. I went and helped close out. Went down to St. Louis, did a little bit of work for them. Came back. Went and worked for Pepsi. That was
That was probably hard.
It was.
I heard it.
It's just a dysfunctional
Yeah.
organization.
I haven't
They
heard about
don't
it.
run well.
Yeah.
It might be different now since they have like the snack side and everything. But when I was there, it was a mess. So I left there and went to work for Coke.
Okay.
Worked-
Dang.
Yeah.
Sure, just boom.
Yeah.
Pepsi, I'm going to the rival.
Yeah.
I went and worked in the warehouse there for a year or so, and then went and started running routes for them.
Which was much easier.
Started my early mornings as it was like
Yeah.
starting at 4.
So then so through this you're in your first marriage, right? And
Yep.
so what's that chapter of your life look like from like a personal side?
Looking back, rough.
Because
Okay.
you're younger, right?
We were 25, 24, 25 when we got married. When Austin was born, it was 25, 26, somewhere in there. Looking back, when we first got divorced, I blamed her just because. But looking back now, like there's a lot of like the drinking and everything else. Like I wasn't at home drunk or doing anything, but just when I went out, I went out.
Yeah.
And
When did that all start? Because early on that didn't seem like it was a big part of your life. So
it was. I mean, when I moved out of when I was 18, I lived in a house here with a bunch of friends, and it was. What night did you party?
So was it in high school that the partying started? So it was
wasn't
right
till
after
high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then that just became the lifestyle.
It's just that, freedom.
Yeah, and then that carried over into your marriage. And so looking back, like that 23 to 28, like looking back on that now, what insights do you have?
Oh man.
I definitely would have been more responsible with everything. Again, like when Austin was born, it was life changing. So I was a lot more careful with what I was doing, but I was not present then like I am now with everybody. I definitely would have changed a lot of that because I mean, her and I, we got divorced when he was 1.
Oh, wow.
So he's known nothing but
that.
Yeah.
So you're 26 then when you guys get divorced? Okay, so that kind of opens up the next chapter then. So what's it look like to be a dad with a 1-year-old?
I mean, at that time, that she left the house to me, and my cousin moved in. We pieced it together for as long as we could, and then I couldn't afford it. I was using credit cards to pay for food, using my paycheck to pay for house and car, and I just ended up upside down. And so I started renting the house out, moved back in with mom and dad.
Okay.
So 1-year-old with help from mom and dad living back at home.
How's that feel?
It was humbling, to say the least.
Yeah.
But they're extremely supportive with everything, always have been.
So then when does that start to change?
So the best thing I did was when I left Coke and went back to the restaurant business because I had 401k and I had pension and all of that, and I had enough into that it finally got me back up to level playing grounds. And
so now are we looking at like 30?
Roughly somewhere around there.
So then how long are we in the restaurant business? Because Austin's grown up. So now you're in the restaurant. You're out. You got your own place now.
I probably did it for almost 10 years.
So any like obviously probably relationships sprinkled in there, but
Oh yeah.
no marriage.
No, because I honestly, from when the first one ended, it's like, screw that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I ain't doing that shit again. Like,
Yeah.
I don't need all of that. Just, I always said, I can live with somebody forever. I can love them for all that they are. I don't need a piece of paper and a ring to tell me how much I love you.
Yeah.
Well, that all changed.
Well, we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
So you're in the restaurant, you're moving around.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so how is that with a kid? Like, cause you got Austin, and now you're moving around, and he's still here.
Yep. So it's tough. My sisters and I all grew up with it. Again, mom and dad both worked their tails off, which is where we all get our work ethic from.
Mm-hmm.
But the restaurant business requires a lot of long days and a lot of long weeks. And you're putting in 55, 60 hours a week working. So when we were growing up, it was, all right, we made dinner and had it ready when mom and dad got home a lot of times because they didn't get home till 6, 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
So it was kind of the same way. The plus side is Austin didn't suffer with that so much because he was with his mom most nights. So it was more, I made sure because I was in charge. So I'm like, look, Wednesday night when I got Austin, I'm out of here at 5 o'clock and I'm home so that we can go do dinner. And that was normally our guys' night. So we would order pizza and play video games or watch movies or whatever. And then I made sure my weekends that I had him, I was off those weekends.
So what brings you back here to Mattoon? You're moving around with the restaurant, and so then what?
Him,
And you're how old?
34, 35.
So he's like 10.
Yeah.
And you come back to Mattoon, and is that when you started the Y?
So been with this one for 6 years ago is when I started the Y. So I had left. So 7 years ago, Dad was in a serious head-on collision. So we're all working in the business.
Okay.
Dad leaves to run to go pick up a part. Serious head-on collision. Lucky to be here, and that kind of sets in motion for all of us to get out. Like we had just had our fill. There was a change of ownership, change of leadership, I should say. And we were like the old guard, and they were kind of trying, and we were like, we just got to get out of here. Yeah. So, mom and dad. Dad, obviously, with his hip and ankle and knee issues, could not stay in cold weather. They bought a place in Florida, and I was like, all right, I'm out. I was taking my personal training classes, and I was headed down there. So I moved down to Florida right before I started at the Y for about 8 months, and got their condo all set up for them and lived there. Sold sunglasses in Southwest Florida.
What part of Florida were you in?
Naples.
Oh, yeah. Naples, baby.
You know, it's about an easy job.
I was Fort Myers, homie.
You sell sunglasses to rich folks from
easy money
from Europe that just have money to blow.
Yeah. So then is it Austin that you're away for 8 months and you're like, I'm too far?
Yeah.
So
I came home for, I've got a picture on my phone that I'll never forget. I surprised him the week before Halloween, and I showed up to the school on his lunch period, and he just comes running up to me, giant bear hug. And I was like, yep, I'm coming back. I can't.
Yeah. But that, going back to your dad's accident, like what changes in your mind after that? Like the shift in perspective.
Well, just the fact that we're out here busting our hump, and that fast, and then it can be gone. Yeah. Why? I mean, again, nothing on the to knock the restaurant business. Right. I made great money doing that, and but after doing it for, I mean, basically 25 years, from the time well, even before that, mom would wake me up on Saturday morning and go, hey, let's go make $50. Yep. Okay. So, I mean, I've been in the business for half my life or more. And it's just that wake up call. Like,
Yeah.
there's more to it than just working 5-6 days a week, 12 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
Money be damned, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
So when I left and I came back and I worked for a non-for-profit at the YMCA,
Mm-hmm.
the money wasn't there, but the peace of mind and the
extra time,
the presence
And
of
knowing
being,
the hours. And,
and just being around, it made a huge difference.
So that phase in your life, like, let's go back to, like, so outside of work, like when you move back, your personal life, what you pick up where you left off, like when you were here before, like what's personal life?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, right.
Fell
Well,
right back in the same routines.
Well, where the relationship? I mean, you
Yep.
went right back to the people that you were around, and then that leads to, I mean, how many years was that when you were back before your DUI?
About 4.
So you're going hard in the paint for 4 years.
Oh yeah.
So what's life look like for Vince personally in those 4 years?
Pretty stable. I mean, really, I had a steady girlfriend for basically from the time I moved back till for about 3 years.
Okay.
And then that ended, and that's when really went off the deep end.
Okay. So what's that entail?
So I can tell you the night or the weekend after that breakup, there was a ride for a friend's dad, and I was on the bus and somehow made it home from Arcola to Mattoon. Not sure how.
Yeah.
And next thing I hear is a knock at the door, and there's 3 police officers at my front door. You okay? Yep. You just get home? Yep. Okay, we've had some phone calls, and recommend you just stay at home. No problem.
A little foreshadowing.
Yeah, well, I didn't learn.
It's
Yeah.
Isn't that wild
Mm-hmm.
to think? I mean,
So how long is that prior?
That would have been probably 2018.
So
2018, 20, it might have been 2019. It might have been a year before.
So then that year, still, like, obviously didn't learn. So what's, like, outside of the job and the girl, like, now you're in a year where there's no girlfriend, you're working, you got like a 12-year-old, but he's with his mom some of the time. So what's that year? What's pre-COVID like?
Pretty boring.
Yeah.
Just work and come home to big empty house by myself, and
What was looking back on it, what would you say, like, your purpose was for Vince at that time?
I don't know if I really had one, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'd get up in the morning, I'd go into work, just do whatever I had to do, and come home and crack a can, watch TV, and that's all I did. And I'd make dinner, and
But I think that's a lot of people's existence.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm gonna ask. Like, what is it about us that when we're just don't have any real purpose? Because I mean, that was me. Purposeless of things. Like, and so whenever I know when him and I make comments towards you about, I mean, you seek something. There was a purpose. You've had a purpose in mind. You're almost 30. What this is? You're 6. You went. 6 years you've been going the Arnold. So you drove like this whole entire way with purpose. Whereas like we've been in seasons where we've had purpose, but then that purpose is diminished itself, and now we're back into this place. And so like, how do we tell listeners who are beginning to begin a journey? How do you keep that purpose going? How do you continue to seek fulfillment, a purpose in a journey that may or may fizzle out.
I can tell you. So I just read this chapter in Nick's book last night. Is when the goal is for them to get the Green Beret. When they put that Green Beret on, there's a certain percentage of them that just get comfortable. You're like, oh, I made it. I'm good. And then they're the ones that fall out. It's those ones that go like him, that he got the Green Beret. Okay, check mark. Now I'm gonna go learn my job, and I'm gonna learn this and be the best at this. So it's never settling for, once you've hit that goal, it's moving on to the next one. And that's where I can tell you, I didn't have goals. I had no plan in life, and
And I think that's where I've obviously fell short too, because I hit something. Okay.
Yeah, complacency is a killer.
And it like pains me to hear like about that year or that phase of your life, or like when you talk about it. And it's not because I'm not empathetic towards it, but I don't know what, like that was kind of me in high school, and we're going to talk about that next week, where it was just like I was comfortable just being, but there was still always a goal. And I was just talking, somebody asked me today, like, I don't know what the call was or something, but somebody was asking like, what's the biggest thing you have to overcome in like getting members at the gym or something like that. And I was like, it's really just people are really comfortable being comfortable. And I think that's what that lifestyle is. It's, I'm comfortable working, cashing this paycheck, and drinking or sitting at home and
Hot Pockets and Netflix.
Right. Because there's no pushback. There's not the opportunity of failure. Because in society's terms, you're good. You're not a deadbeat. You're working. You've got a career. You've got a house. You're doing it. You're able to go on a vacation once a year. You're able, all these things in society are like, this is the American dream. Like, I've got a job. I've got a family. I've got, I can provide. I can go take my vacation. I got my 2 weeks. Blah blah blah. I can go out on the weekends. And so, I don't know what got wired in me through college or whatever, and maybe it was sports, but I really think there's this book I read that has stuck with me. It's Chase the Line by Mark Batterson, and it was like the goal of life is not to arrive safely at death, and that always just like stuck. Like, I don't really care if everything I do fails, but I at least want to try it, because the times where I was the most depressed was where I was in that transition, like between things. Like, I knew I needed to finish college, but I was ready to go to Ohio. Those 6 months were really depressing because I couldn't go do the thing I wanted to do.
I was being held back.
I was just stuck. Like, I had to finish this. And I already knew, like, okay, I'm gonna graduate. Like, but then I couldn't go do the thing that I wanted to go pursue. And then so those areas, those were like times where it was like a forced complacency, and I had to be really intentional about not falling into those habits of like, go to class, work out, go to work, come home, make food, do whatever, because you can get caught in that cycle so easy, and it's really uncomfortable to break it.
Yeah, because I talk out loud a lot of times, and I kind of get like, I guess, quote unquote sad. I'll just like, why is this not working? Well, or the whole dreamer. Like, I think a lot about doing. I've thought about doing a million things in the last probably 10, 15 years of things like, man, I'd be really good at this, but I've never had taken the time to learn or find somebody to help me understand just how you manage these types of different things that I feel like I could pursue, with my gifts, talents, and abilities, because I know there's certain things I'm really good at. But yes, I mean, I totally get what you're saying, because there's so many times I have been down on myself for no particular reason that I could think of, because everything has been decent. And I've just because
there's no goal.
Yeah, like they're just thoughts, and I don't act on those thoughts.
Right. And some thoughts and some ideas are terrible.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, that was a great idea. Okay, not a great idea, but I think I said it in another podcast. Like, I am a pothead who does not smoke. I just have ideas all day, and it is a problem. because I'm like, ooh, let's do this, let's do that. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that.
We get the texts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but it's good though because then it's a constant revolving because you do need to continue
But
to
it
learn
drives
and grow.
my wife nuts.
Well, yeah.
And it probably drives you nuts, but I can't
can-
stop. It's like it is
It's
somehow is wired
It's
in
just
me.
your youthfulness, like
It is wired
I'm
in
going
me
back.
to like, and I don't know if it's entrepreneurship or if it's just like ADHD, but like there's just these things that I'm like, let's do this next, let's do this next. We got to grow this, we got to do that, and I guess it's better than the alternative of being
the
like,
exact opposite of that.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but if you don't get them out there, you never know what's going to happen. So
Right.
If you just hold on to them, then you always have that. Well, what if?
Right.
What if I would have told Adam and Vince about this podcast and we never started it?
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. Like, something is where we're all supposed to be, and if I don't pursue it, and if we don't try it, that always is kind of like my fear.
Well,
Like the not trying it. Like, if I try it and I suck at it and I hate it, then I'm just going to move on. But, like, what if I just don't? Like, I got to try it.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about crack. Like, I haven't tried
Yeah.
that. But I'm just saying, like maybe that's my thing, guys. Maybe I should do, yeah.
Right.
But I think that goes back to some people, it's a scary thing to be, like,
it is.
to do that. And so I think going back to Vince, like, that became comfortable.
Mhm.
Yeah.
To go to work, to come home, and it became routine.
Well, it's a habit that now all of a sudden you don't know how to change.
And it's present, because you come home and
It's visible.
things in the fridge, and you crack a cold one. And
I had a hard day today. I did good.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
well, we did what society
Yeah,
tells
that's
us.
what we're
I
supposed
worked
to do.
today.
That's normal.
I wasn't belligerent at work. Like, I can come home, I earned time to relax, and then that just becomes the cycle for 10 years, 15 years, and the next thing you know, you're 60 and you're looking at retirement,
Yeah.
and you're like, what did I do with the last 2 decades?
Yeah.
And that's what I think why we're doing this and talking to this. Like, don't arrive safely at death or safely at retirement. How boring is it to be like, well, when I'm 65, I'm going to go get to do all these things. Well, by that time, your routine is to do nothing.
Mhm.
How many 65-year-olds do we know that don't do anything, that just do the exact same thing they did? They just don't have a job now.
Mhm.
And so, for you, what switches that? Because now you are all the things that we talk about. What changes? Because, yes, the DUI happens. But what happens the next day after that? Because it's not like,
A lot of Netflix and
okay,
just a lot of remorse. Just I cannot explain the way it felt. Just the fact that I was dumb enough to do it, but the fact that my kid was sitting right next to me
Yep.
when it happened, and to have him see that the cops pull up and all, like, that is my biggest regret in life, is him seeing that. And so when we talked about this a few weeks ago, I went home when it aired and I made him listen to it. And, like, I promise you, this is never going to happen again. I am never going to put you in this situation ever again. So that was the start of a switch.
So what's his response to that?
He just, I know,
Yeah.
Dad, I love you. And
Nice.
it made me feel good to know that he knows I'm sorry and that it was a huge mistake, because I could have lost everything. that
Yeah.
night.
Yeah.
His mom could have just been like, nope, no more.
Yeah.
And he's 16, he's 17 tomorrow. Like, he can, at any point, he can make the decision to go, hey, I don't want to go to Dad's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, and so the last almost, it'll be 3.5 years. Actually, it has been August,
Before.
September, October, November,
Oh.
December, January, February. So when we went to the Arnold, it was 3.5 years since I had a drink. And yeah, like, so that day was the start. Like, because I woke up the next morning, again, thankful to be in my bed, because the one thing I got from COVID was to go home that night.
Yeah.
So woke up in my bed and it was just like, felt horrible.
Yeah.
I was 3 times over the legal limit.
Yeah. Getting pulled over may sober you up in the moment, but there's still a hangover to pay.
Yeah. 0.25. That was rough. Wow. Yeah. So, I had 2 great friends that came over and brought me some lunch. And hey, man, if you need anything, we're here. Yada yada. Went to work. Explained to one of my bosses, like, hey, so here's what happened. And she works dispatch, and she goes, man, I know.
Yeah.
She goes, and she didn't talk to me. So I didn't talk to her on Monday. I talked to her on Tuesday. And that Monday, like, I could tell she was pissed. She would not talk to me.
Yeah.
So when I went and talked to her on Tuesday, we're both bawling. She goes, you make dumb mistakes, that's fine. But the fact that when I heard that Austin was in the car next to you, and I go, oh yeah, trust me. Trust me. So, stopped immediately, but didn't really, nothing mentally changed. Not.
Well, you had external consequences that changed what you could do.
Yes.
And you knew drinking was the thing, but your mentality hadn't shifted. So when's the mentality begin to shift? Like,
So I went through a stage after that, basically until I met Kelsey. So that was August through May.
Yeah.
It was rough. I mean,
you're grieving.
I was in a dark spot, and that's why I've told her from the get, she's my light.
So what was that? I want to pause there. What was that? Those 6 months like?
Because are you by yourself? Like, is it
You're
just
still
you?
by yourself.
It's just me.
So
So
now
now coming over on Wednesdays and every other weekend, but
So now the
Every 10 days.
getting home and
By
the
yourself.
routine has changed. So what's that like? Those 6 months of getting home from work and being with yourself, who you don't like very much at the time.
it sucked.
Yeah.
I mean, the only saving grace I had was my dog, because it was some kind of companion to be there.
Absolutely.
That it was just a lot of dark, just feelings.
So through some of this, is there weight training? Is there reading? Is there?
There's no reading in the gym, but it wasn't like I took advantage of the gym when I go on lunch and I go work out.
So there's still no purpose. There wasn't a purpose
So it
to
was just
training.
in there, like, and it wasn't like I was fine when I was around people. I was like, okay, interaction. But when you're at home, in the house, and there's nothing there, and it's just like, So you're sitting with your thoughts, and that was the worst.
So then you meet Kelsey.
Yep.
And then what shifts?
I don't know. Like, from the minute I met her, something was different.
Cupid's arrow, right?
Something. Again, so I'm a helper, a giver. I went and helped a friend at his detail shop. She was working there. Just luck would have it, she was working that day, and he gave me her number, and so I text her, and from that day on, it just.
And then you guys get married.
Yep.
This last
October.
But that somewhere in there, something shifts mentally with you.
So she is the one that pushed the hand for me to leave the Y.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Things there had become kind of uncomfortable, and I brought a lot of it home, and she could just tell that I was not happy with what I was doing and what the situations were. And she's like, just look. It doesn't hurt to look. So I started looking, and when I found this one, and then I was like, okay, well, I don't have a gym now. So that's when I came and found you, and I was like, okay. And literally from the day you talked about, hey, we're going to start 75 hard if you're interested, and this and that, I was like, all right. And from that point on,
So it was 75 hard that
just
shifted.
It changed
awesome.
everything immediately. When I had those tasks in front of me on what I had to do every single day, come hell or high water, I was getting every one of them done.
It's that purpose.
Yep. You have a defined goal each day that you have to hit, and and it's uncomfortable, but you see the growth that comes from it. And so, what changes have you seen in your life since that forcing that? I like to look at it like it's not a light switch; it's the thermostat. Like when you do 75, you don't just crank the thing. Like it takes time you can turn the thermostat to 80, but it's going to take time to get to 80.
Yeah.
And so, what changed as you began to like that whole shift? What changes in your life?
Everything. Literally. I mean, I am not the same person I was 14 months ago.
Yeah.
When I first started it. Like, there's not a single thing that's the same with, I mean, I was texting with Kelsey today when I shared the message from my buddy Curtis.
Yep.
Shout out Curtis Barker. She's like, something has changed in you. And I've changed even from when we started this round of 75 hard.
Yep.
So I don't know if it's this purpose now. It's just been, we cranked it up a notch. And but I am more driven. And I'm definitely more present. And, we've had a shit week at the house, dealing with family and this and that. And, we talk about inspiring others and this and that. But to see the mental strength that she's had, that I've rubbed off onto her, and the way she's handled everything with that, I could not be more proud of her. And I don't think that would have happened without me doing what we've done and started this. And
Yeah, and I mean, I think so now put that week that you had this week back 14 months ago. How's that look?
I would have been a mess.
Yeah.
I mean, I would not have handled it as well as I did this week. I mean, Friday I was beat down, just work kicking my butt. Yesterday, this weekend, we just go.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just exhausting. But I would have been one of those drunk idiots Saturday night,
right?
Yeah.
Cheering on whoever on the motocross.
Like that's so yeah. Like I want to kind of think about that. Like, well, one, like you now have the tools and the mental fortitude, like we talk about, to handle when things get hard, because it's inevitable. And so then now going back to like looking at the other side of it, like whenever I go to events, like outside, like we talked about concerts or whatever, like now what is your perspective when you look around at like Supercross? Like what were your thoughts of, because all those guys most of them are dads.
Yeah, we had a family sitting right next to us.
Yeah.
They were great. I mean, but just, I don't want to be too judgmental, but man, there is just a serious issue.
Yeah. Yeah. It is an issue.
And
I don't think.
And what's really bad is that when you see a bigger mom and dad, and then the kids are trending the same direction, it's like,
Yeah. Because they set the standard.
Well,
And I think that's the thing. Dads, whether we want the role or not, and moms are great, and shout out moms, but we do set the standard for our families.
They watch more than they listen.
Yep.
And like Aria does cold tubs.
Yep. Shout out.
Like, so it's a huge deal because she's just witnessed that.
Yep.
She's listening, and so what that does for her, not even she's only there about 2 minutes.
Right.
But the fact still remains is that she wants,
I'm starting 5 minutes a day.
But you know what I'm saying? The alcohol. Okay,
Yeah.
so I spent probably just as many years just like you doing the exact same thing. And I always wondered why on Mondays I felt so sluggish. I always wondered why on Mondays I hate Mondays. I hate Mondays. Well, because I spent Friday because I earned a reward, which was a beer, or going out. Saturday did the same thing, rinse and repeat. Ate like crap, felt like crap, had empty calories, fed with unhealthy calories of food.
Yep.
So then I slept like crap.
Yep.
And so then all of a sudden, why is Monday and Tuesday the days that I feel like, man, Wednesday I finally felt good again.
So you could do it again on
Friday.
Friday.
I could do it again on Friday.
Yeah, it's
and
just
so
that
like
American societal cycle.
But it was this program. It's not a health it's a mental calibration of you figuring these things out, and it took me this many years to finally figure that out.
Yeah.
And so you and I both probably could have been a little bit further along in certain things had we just adjusted. And so, yeah, it's a huge shot. Like, I look up to you for just the sheer fact of, like, I went, will be 80 days now without a drink. But like last year, I could count on less than two hands how many times I drank last year because I did it twice. So that's a huge, that's huge for me.
That's growth.
You know,
and I think getting to the point where that's no longer.
Eventually, it's no longer even like we've had the same piece of alcohol in our basement for almost 18 months.
It's awesome.
And it hasn't moved.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so I can look at it. It doesn't entice me. Like, it's just one of those things. Oh, it's just there. But I need to get it out because one, don't want the kids seeing it.
Yep.
And two, I need to just, if I'm not going to use it, I might as well just pour it out.
Right.
And I want them to see that.
Yeah.
When I do that.
Yeah.
Because they're like, what are you doing? Pouring it out.
Yeah.
It serves me no purpose for me to sit here and look at it if I'm not going to contain it and it's not good for anybody.
Well, I think it goes back to what we were just talking about. Aria sees you in the cold tub. If I raise my kids around social drinking or whatever, or coming home at night and having a, like whatever it is, whether it's just come home and sit on Netflix, like whatever it is, that's going to be what they see as normal. Where Aria sees like, oh, Dad's getting in the car. They want to do the things that they see.
Yeah.
And so how am I leading by example in all areas? And some of them can be silly. Like you can think like, oh, like eating bad, going through a drive-through, whatever. But like that's gonna become their comfort because that's what their childhood was like. Right. There's things from my childhood that I want to go back and do because it's nostalgic. Yeah. So what is gonna be nostalgic? What's gonna be the comfort that they're around when they're older that they go back to because it was what they saw and what they felt and what they witnessed. And so that drives all the things. And so now going back to like Vince's story, like finding whether it's 75 hard or just like we talked about a goal, a mission, something critical that you're gonna do. That's what guides and gives you you got to find those things. And so, any closing thoughts, Vince, on your story? Anything we missed?
Well, we missed a whole lot, but
oh dang.
Yeah, there's no. I just thank you to both of you. I would not be here right now doing this without you two. Words kind of escape me right now. Like how thankful I am to have you two in my life, to do this with, live hard and to grow and see what we can do in the future. I'm very thankful for finding Kelsey and doing the one thing I said I would never do again in life. And I am so much better now with her and raising 3 other kids along with my own now, and like that's another purpose for me.
Yep.
You know, everything from 17 to 3. Yeah. And being able to see them grow and guide them down the right path, hopefully. So, yeah.
Yeah, because I think we have to be grateful even for even your week, because it was bad, but like you said, you guys are doing it together, and so that's a hard. Sometimes people don't do that together. Yeah. A lot of times they just let one person take care of it, and it's like, well, where are we at on this? So the fact that you guys, whether it's good or bad, still be grateful for those things because we've all talked about because we learn from all those. We don't let it dictate. We push through, and so it's good to remind ourselves of just how grateful we really are even through the bad times.
Yeah, this was definitely one of those weeks where it was a 70-30, 80-20 week. Where I took on the brunt of the work and stuff. Yesterday she wasn't feeling it. She goes, I can't go. I can't be around that many people at the trampoline park. I'm like, I got it. Yep, we're good. We're gonna go. Yeah. And we made sure the kids had fun, and we came home, and it was good.
But she got to reset.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think those weeks, as much as they suck, they also are moments where you get to fall back on the habits and the tools and the things that you've developed and continue to develop and say okay, this isn't just this isn't just me when everything's green and everything's good.
Yeah.
This is who I am
Mm-hmm.
when life is hard,
Right.
because it's who I am. It's not something you pretend to be. It is who you have gotten yourself to be through work
Mhm.
and doing the tasks and doing the things that, like Adam said, like it's a mental it's not just physical. Like you've trained yourself mentally to be able to have the capacity to do those things and have a community around you to help you.
Yep.
So I think that's really good.
Well, and it's good that you like to be able to say no, because sometimes you have to say no.
Yeah.
You can't do everything, because that will too begin to wear on you and wind you down, and you do kind of put you in a place. Because I've had times where I tried to put everything on my plate, and that was another thing this whole program did for me, is it allowed me to pull things that just weren't that important.
Yep.
And so.
Good. I like it. All right. Well, the child is up next week. You get to hear the short.
Yeah. We'll ask a good question for you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Get ready.
He's gonna be the question guy.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's outside of our area of expertise
I
here.
know, he's
I
always
don't know,
one
I
of the
just
good
make it.
questions.
I just fake it till I make it.
Hey, sometimes that's a good thing.
So there you go. Episode 12 in the books. Peace.